Hello, greetings, salutations, everyone. Caedo Genesis here. This is the PIPCAST 3000, where we talk about gaming news and gaming topics and have a dedicated Fallout topic. This is a bi-weekly podcast where we put it up every other Sunday, 10 a.m. Pacific. I'm joined by my co-host, BADCOMPANYSARGE.
Hello there.
And we've got another The Gamer article because we needed something to talk lengthy about because there's not too much news over the last couple of weeks, and we're also recording a bit earlier.
Yep. Because
I have plans this week, this Memorial Day weekend. We do a tip of the day and a comment of the cast. How about, well, since I wrote it all down, what if I just like told you to to pretend to know what I was thinking about when I wrote, when I wrote the tip?
Decode Caedo's scrawlings on the PIPCAST outline.
Do you want to do that?
I can have a go. Okay,
all right.
Caedo's tip of the day is use your companions. Open bracket, Fallout 4 lockpick and pickup, comma, Skyrim pickup, comma, Fallout 3 mule and combat, comma, Fallout 1 and 2 steal skill to manage inventory. Now, some of these I get. The Fallout 1 and 2 stuff, like, your companion's inventory just... the system in that isn't particularly good, but you can use, like, the steal function to just take and give stuff to your followers instead. Which is weird, but it's kind of a workaround that works. Fallout 3, the combat one I added myself, because I actually mentioned while you were writing this, that, like, early game in Fallout 3, it's really quite difficult, like, everything's stronger than you when you have limited resources, but followers are just kind of, like, a base level of strength. So at the start of the game are really powerful, at the end of the game, not so much. So early game, Fallout 3 companions are great. Skyrim pickup. I'm thinking about the Giants Club here. How there's like a Giants Club in the world where you can send your follower to pick it up and they'll use it. But also,
I don't even know about that.
Oh, you don't? Oh, okay, fair enough.
No.
That's a thing. But I'm guessing that's also to like glitch yourself over carry weight. Or even for stuff like skill books and the like, where you can tell a follower to pick it up and you won't get the skill bonus, so you can save it for later for better leveling.
Yes.
And Fallout 4 lockpick and pickup. I mean, robots and... oh, Kate, is it? Does the lockpicking skill?
Yes. I believe Nick can lockpick and hack.
Oh, can he do both? I see, I knew Nick could hack. I wasn't aware of him as being able to lockpick. But yeah, you've got stuff that do that. I mean, obviously you just build yourself a robot instead and it does everything for you, because robots are better than people.
Robots, yes, I agree. And the pickup thing, just like Skyrim, because it's the same engine and it kind of works the same way.
Okay.
Yeah.
There you go. There's tips for stuff to do with companions in games. There's
Sarge's interpretation of the scrawlings that were on the outline.
Yeah.
And that's the tip. Utilize your companions if you have them. You could add something with dog meat too.
Being the best doggo ever. Yep. What's the comment of the cast, Caedo?
There you go. Steve Rains, who left a couple of comments, so we're gonna use his comment. He says, Mischief Night was a blast, but they only did it for 1 year because it was too stressful on the servers.
And both of us remembered what Mischief Night was without any prompting or watching videos I made in 2019.
Yep, totally. So the last topic that we did in the last episode was unpopular opinions, which was another The Gamer article, and we were going through and deciding, which ones were, unpopular or whatever. And I think the discussion or one of the news topics was about 76. It was about 76 and the events being just straight up canceled and stuff like that. But Steve Rains mentioned, the Mischief Night event, which I didn't take part in at all, but you made a video on and then forgot about.
Yeah. My video helpfully was called something like, what is Mischief Night? So I'm able to go back to it like 3 years later to find out from myself about something I covered, which is kind of cool. But yeah, it's a little Halloween-based event where you just run around and cause chaos in the White Spring. It's very simple and straightforward from what my video showed. But yeah, it seems kind of a fun one, but yeah, can't have it. Too stressful. Yeah.
Yep. Yeah. Not a huge fan of like all this extra stuff that the servers aren't able to handle.
Yeah, that's like a huge limitation within 76. Is just they can keep making more stuff, but the game performance will get worse if they add in too much at once.
Mm-hmm.
And there's really a hard limit to it all. I do wonder if the game will start cycling out, like, some content that is currently permanent in order to make room for other stuff in the future.
I mean, if you remember, like, that was one of my concerns at the very beginning.
Yeah.
It was like, how much stuff are they going to add, and are they going to cycle things out so that the game can handle it on both client side and server side? But it doesn't seem like that. It seems like they just started piling on more and more stuff, free update wise, as well as, you know, all of the extra Atom Shop stuff.
Just so much stuff. The game's got so much stuff. Too much stuff.
Yeah.
I can't keep up with the stuff.
Online games, man. There's got to be different ways to deal with bloat. I don't know how many. I can't think of an example of an online game that actually does deal with bloat fairly well, except for Destiny 2 that just straight up removes a chunk of the game.
Yeah, I don't think it's dealing with it well. I remember the last time I played Destiny 2 and I was suddenly in a prison and the main character died. And I was like, oh, okay, that's how this game starts now. Huh?
Yeah.
Cool.
So like, I'm not a programmer. I'm not a developer. I don't know. I don't know an actual solution to this. But I hope they find one for giving themselves the ability to do some of these fun events again, because like the Mischief Night issue, and then I mean that was ages ago, but the Meat Week thing for 76, like I'm pretty concerned that anything good and fun just won't work.
Yeah.
And that sucks, because that means 76 may not stay interesting for very long.
Yeah, I mean,
if that continues to occur,
the player base is still there.
Mm-hmm.
It doesn't seem to be going away just yet. So I'm guessing the content that's currently there is keeping enough people entertained.
Yeah.
Anyway, on to the news. With something that is keeping nobody entertained for any length of time. Tiny Tina's Wonderlands DLCs.
Yay!
Have you played for DLCs, Caedo?
I don't think I got the season pass. So, and after hearing about the first one, I was like, why would I even bother? Because it's just like more of the same Chaos Chamber-y type stuff. So,
I'm guessing I have the season pass. I'm actually gonna check in my game library now what edition of the game I've got.
Well, should I kick off what the actual story is?
Yes.
Okay. Well, via Forbes, players have a conspiracy theory about Wonderland's bad DLCs. It says, this week, Tiny Tina's Wonderlands came out with its second DLC pack, Glutton's Gamble. Wonderlands DLC has created a bit of an odd situation among fans, where the base game is being celebrated, but all the DLCs, which are essentially just Chaos Chamber variants that can be experienced in 10 minutes or so, is a far cry from the usual quality of Borderlands DLC. I just read a new theory from the game's subreddit that makes a whole lot of sense in explaining what may have happened here. The idea is that originally Wonderlands had 4 traditional sizable DLC to bolster the game. The problem? The base game ended up being too short so that the DLCs were folded into the main game, and these Chaos Chamber mirror DLCs had to be crafted to put something in the season pass instead. It goes on explaining that the 4 DLCs are pretty easy to spot. 4 distinctive large zones that each come with their own main mission and a cluster of side missions. Crackmast Cove, Sunfang Oasis, Mount Claw, and Tangle Drift. These zones are being notable for being outside the main storyline and somewhat optional as you progress through the main quest. But in the overworld, you find and unlock them and discover a large new zone full of stuff to do. There's more to this, but that's basically the gist of the whole theory. And I think it does stand up as a pretty possible theory for why.
We can't say it's true, but it seems understandable, seeing as the DLC we've got so far, and I've just checked, I have got the Chaotic Great Edition, which is why the DLC's just been unlocking for me. So far we've had Coiled Captors and Glutton's Gamble. Each cost £8, so I'm guessing $10.
Oh my god.
Yeah.
That's...
And you go to... there is a new location you go to called Dreamvale Overlook, which looks cool, but it's just one very small area where you just talk to a character and there's like a wheel of loot you get. But these areas, you go into... basically, you know how in Wonderlands there's the overworld with little camps you go into and it's just a little combat arena that you go
An
through the
encounter
sections of. Yeah.
basically.
It's just small combat maps where you're fighting the same type or types of enemies that you fought in the base game, and then at the end there's a boss.
Yeah.
That's the entirety of the DLC.
Yeah, while the Chaos Chamber does have, things to entice you to consistently, run through stuff like this, like making that as DLC also,
it's pointless. It sucks.
Without really adding much to it besides maybe a little bit more loot and
maybe some more
and
loot.
bosses that happen to be like just a slight variant on
bosses.
Because
Very
that's what I've seen too. Slight variants.
Yeah,
of...
the first boss is a big shark. You fight several big sharks in the game.
Yeah.
It's not a rare enemy. The second boss, the one I actually played the other day, and I'll talk about my experience with it in just a second, but second boss is like a potion witch lady. You don't really get much about it other than that. But when I played through Glutton's Gamble, the most recent DLC, I was practically falling asleep going through all the standard combat areas. I hadn't played the game in a little bit, and I was finding the combat to be just too easy, like boring levels of easy. All the enemies were like super easy to kill and stuff. And I assumed, okay, I must be playing on like the lowest difficulty or something. Make it to the boss, one shot kills me every single shot, and she's surrounded by barrels which are indestructible. So it's really hard to get a shot off at her, and she throws her stuff fast enough that you can't really take time to line up, especially seeing as you're being attacked by skeletons constantly. Like, the final boss, huge difficulty spike compared to all the rest of it. And I seem to be at the perfect point for pain, where all of the previous stuff way too easy, last bit way too hard. And that's just clear bad balancing in that DLC, which is about 10 minutes. You're paying like $1 a minute for the DLC.
Yeah.
This sucks, and especially seeing as Borderlands has great DLC as a franchise. It's really solid stuff throughout that's a lot of fun. Gets you going through different stories with side missions and stuff, takes you to different locations. And this time it's just like, yeah, have a dungeon to crawl through. Tenner, please.
Yeah. Yep. It's seems like a very Gearbox publishy thing to do at this point.
Yep. It's terrible. I genuinely thought that the whole Dreamvale Overlook thing, where you access the DLC, was just one DLC in and of itself. That was my assumption, because it was so short. I was like, well, it must be all of the stuff that's going to launch for this is all part of one DLC, and they're just doing it, like, on a slow rollout, so it keeps people engaged over time. I was like, yeah, that's fine. That's perfectly cool, and then we'll have some story-based stuff after. But no, these are separate DLCs, all in the same place. And all worth nothing because they suck. And it's a real shame because Wonderlands itself is a real solid base game.
It is. Yeah.
It's a lot of fun.
We should remind people that Wonderlands is still, the Tiny Tina's Wonderland is still very fun.
Yes. The base game, I'd say, is 100% worth the price tag. The DLC is 100% not worth the price tag.
Not at all.
And it's such a jarring comparison between the two.
Yeah. Since it sounds like there's balance issues with that too, like that's also been a problem, had been a problem, maybe still is, with the base game, with certain bosses and enemies. So.
Yeah, I will say I hadn't encountered anything. Actually, no, there was one encounter I had in the base game with a similar sort of random difficulty spike, and that was the Eros Wyvern, which we actually fought together and had a pretty easy time with. But that's because that boss regens on attacks, and when I was playing it, I couldn't, like, hit it with anything strong enough to knock enough of its health down before it just attacked me and got its health back.
Yeah.
That's one enemy who's just super challenging when you're doing it solo and don't have, like, a super high DPS in short time build.
Yeah. And there's a few bosses that do that. They have Drill, which is one I've griped about on many occasions. I don't know if he's been patched, but his second phase was the one that, would take me upwards of 20 minutes to a half hour. Yeah. Whereas the other phases were no problem.
Yeah.
Like the middle phase being the broken, unbalanced one. And then Son of a Witch, I think, also has his little regeneration thing, but you can actually see what's causing his regeneration barely. And deal with it. Like it's a little like ghostly little dragon thing that flies above his head. Anyway, Yeah, play Wonderlands, but don't invest in the DLCs until there's something sizable, because...
Do what Caedo did, don't do what I did.
Don't do what I did. Or don't do it, yeah. Just don't do what either of us do.
I don't think I'm going to be getting, like, the DLC editions of any, like, Borderlands or Wonderlands games from now on. Because, like,
I think I stopped doing that after the season pass 2.
Yeah, that's the thing. Season
3.
Pass 2 annoyed me for Borderlands 3, but I at least still got value out of the first Season Pass, and I was still happy with all the stuff there.
Oh, yeah.
Just a bit annoyed there was then extra stuff after.
Mm-hmm.
But this one is one where I'm not happy. Not happy at all. Like, I wasted 15 quid, I think it was, extra on this DLC, which just sucks and isn't even worth half that.
They gotta find ways to make these arenas more interesting, because like the groundwork there is cool, but
I mean, they could just not reuse all the stuff from the base game. Just come in with some new enemies on new looking locations, and that would at least make it stand out,
like Borderlands 3 did.
Yep.
Even though Wonderlands doesn't have free DLC, this project is going to be freely available once it releases. Fallout London, they released their gameplay trailer, which is pretty chunky for what it is. We've talked about the Fallout London project before. Sarge made fun of their pseudo-British accents.
Yeah. How you doing, Governor? We having a good time here?
Some of the details we've seen in this, especially with the character building and stuff like that, and like even the intro cinematics or intro slideshow, it shows the opening hours or opening 20 minutes ish of the game, or of this big overhaul mod project. And I was telling Sarge that it gave me kind of BioShocky vibes, just in how it was kind of expositing while you were going through this underground laboratory of some kind. I'm kind of interested. And also, they reintroduced traits into this one. Not just that, but because this is not in the post-apoc US, they have their own like little animated, they're not even vault people, they're little animated icons for like the attributes, the traits, the skills. Like, so much extra work is just done for those things. So seems pretty cool.
Yeah.
Pretty cool so far. And we're gonna have the trailer linked below to check out as well. It'd be a brand new Fallout adventure by some really dedicated mod authors and fans. It looks like they credited a couple of the voice actors and and
a couple of doctors.
A couple of doctors. They did. Doctor Who the 6th and Doctor Who the 7th.
No.
I think that's pretty great.
Yeah. I do wonder if they're getting close to release now. Like the fact for trailers, the official gameplay trailer has come out, makes me hope that this is almost ready to release, and they're not just like bringing this out a year or two before it's actually going to be done.
Yeah, because it could be like a Skyblivion kind of thing too.
Yeah.
Where they're just like, here's some progress.
Yeah.
Here's what we're working on. That's all for now. Their website has some cool stuff here too, but
I mean, it doesn't say anything about a release date from what I can find.
No.
There's a few standalone weapon and outfit mods.
I really like it when these kinds of projects have like a progress bar or a progress graphic, but I'm not seeing.
Yeah,
that's okay.
There's the FAQ where it says when is Fallout London expected to be released, and it says it's an ongoing development that persists due to the sacrifice of the volunteers team free time. This means that an official release date is difficult to pinpoint. The team has set internal deadlines, but a formal release date has not yet been set.
Nothing official for release, but there is an official gameplay trailer to get some hype up and then have us wait like maybe multiple years.
Yeah.
Maybe forever. We don't know. But again, it's just a neat thing.
Yeah.
You know what else is a neat thing? Riverwood and Unreal Engine 5.
Yeah. This is something we're not being promised will come out at some point. This is just like, hey, here's a video. I recreated Riverwood from Skyrim in Unreal Engine 5. Look at how pretty it is.
Mm-hmm.
And it is pretty.
It's very pretty.
There's a long video, like a 10-11 minute one, going around like everything, but with the intro being slightly distorted and stuff. I have linked the short minute 21-second one, which takes you over the like start of Riverwood and stuff. Really get to see everything nicely with this though.
And are we gonna give credit to who did it?
Oh yes, it's Hall 00117.
Thank you.
Sorry.
A robot.
Yes.
Who else could make something look this good in Unreal Engine 5 but a robot?
They actually do a ton of this stuff. If you go through their uploads, it's like Skyrim in Unreal Engine 5, Oblivion in Unreal Engine 5, Catch the Oblivion Gate, ArtStation Grand Station, Opera Submission, Fallout New Vegas in Unreal Engine 4. What? Sucks. Yeah. 4.
I'm seeing screenshots of it, but it is actually really pretty too.
Yeah, like, this person just recreates a ton of, like, game locations in, like, different engines to make everything look a bit better.
Mm-hmm.
Which is pretty cool, because they are a freelance asset creator and environment artist. So
wow, and it shows.
Do this for a bit of fun, yeah. They've not got a ton of videos on their channel. They're clearly not like I'm gonna be a YouTuber like us scumbags, but it's cool that they share some of this stuff.
Support us on Patreon.
Please do.
Please support Sarge. Actually,
I could do with making enough money to stop paying taxes again.
Yes, please give Sarge money.
All of it. Now, I demand.
You know who else should give you money? Deathloop developers.
Okay, why is that?
Because they just released a photo mode, and I know you like taking pretty pictures.
I do like taking pretty pictures, and I like the idea that whenever a game dev introduces something I like, they pay me. That sounds great.
That's why I opened with that.
No, I really love photo modes in games, and I think pretty much every game should have a photo mode, providing it's a pretty game, which Deathloop is.
Yes, it is.
It's
very stylish.
The game's also getting some better accessibility options.
Oh.
But I was more interested in the photo mode because I like pretty pictures. So I was like, oh, photo mode!
Yeah, this is when Prey was free on the Epic Store, too.
Oh.
It's probably not anymore. Might be...
No, because Borderlands 3 is the game that's been free on the tail end of us recording this. But because we're recording early, we've actually got just over 4 hours to learn what the next game for the week will be. For any PC players out there, it's worth getting the Epic Game Store. There's free games every week, and sometimes they're big games like Borderlands 3 or Prey, and even some of the indie games are really good. Like, I'm going to be talking about an indie game, not an indie, but a non-AAA game that I picked up on the Epic Game Store for free and I've played, because it was given away later. It's very, very good. Just
free games. If you're on a budget, it's the best time to be a budget gamer.
Yeah. With the whole Deathloop thing, it's just nice to see this add a bit of support to make the game better. It's also, like, accessibility-wise, they've noted in this PC Game article, you can change combat difficulty, adjust the number of reprises, lives, Colt has, and even slow game speed. That's a nice, interesting way to, like, modify the difficulty a bit more as well. Because I know from playing, like, the Dishonored games, I'm not particularly good at them, and it can be a little frustrating when you're just trying to be stealthy and then just die over and over because you failed at it. So, I like the idea of there being some more difficulty sliders to these games. I mean, just in general, I really like difficulty options.
Yeah. Having options is good.
Yeah, there's plenty of people who are like, oh, it must always be the hardest possible. But if you've got, like, difficulty...
You're not a real gamer if you don't play on hard.
Yeah. But, like, if you have difficulty options, then it can be set easier if it's a game you're not very good at, and be set harder when you want more of a challenge.
I have a good example of that too, by the way.
Oh, go for it.
Yeah, Death Stranding has a notorious difficulty spike when you start fighting Clifford Unger. Basically, his
Are you
plane of
about to try and
existence.
describe a Kojima plot to us?
I'm not explaining the plot. I'm explaining that he's on another plane of existence, basically, that is basically a war zone, and it's different eras of wars each time you encounter him. But the difficulty spike between like before fighting him, like after you fight him, is just ridiculous.
No.
And a large amount of the player base, because there is posts about it regularly where they're just like, I just keep getting gunned down because he and a bunch of skeletons that surround him keep shooting me. And they have shotguns and they hurt, and we're in trenches and they hurt a lot.
Yeah.
But because it's that those fights are not like directly tied to like achievements and stuff like that, like completion achievements and whatever, a lot of the players are just like, you have nothing to prove. There's no like achievement tied to it. You can reduce the difficulty and then jack it up again later.
Yeah.
And that doesn't like screw up your entire, trophy hunt either, which is actually kind of almost an accessibility thing on its own. for those completionists out there. But having those options, it doesn't make you less of a gamer.
No.
Like at all. Like I find myself being stubborn every so often, but sometimes I just want to finish a game.
Yeah. I've got plenty of games I play on super easy modes, and then I've got plenty of other games where I'm like, I'm going to crank this to the hardest difficulty.
Depends on what your comfort level is, too.
Yeah. I mean, I can actually use the example of Skyrim. I used to play on Legendary on the PC all the time while I was playing regularly.
Mm-hmm.
Nowadays on PC, I'd probably play Expert or Master difficulty. But if I ever boot it up on console, I'll put it down to like Apprentice, maybe, because I'm not very good with console controls anymore.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
And it's just adapting the difficulty to how much I've been playing and how comfortable I am with the control system.
Yep. And it's okay.
Yeah.
You know, it's not okay.
Everything else in the world.
Yes, but also NFTs.
Yes.
GameStop decided to throw its hat into the ring for NFTs right after the massive crash to cryptocurrency as a whole by 92%.
Mm-hmm.
So, another Forbes article reports that GameStop's NFT wallet and marketplace raise a lot of questions. Yes, it does. GameStop has now launched a new digital asset wallet ahead of its NFT marketplace launch in the second quarter of the fiscal year. It can store cryptocurrencies and NFTs, and what exactly are we doing here? Here's the official announcement from today. Today being May 23rd, 2022. Quote, GameStop Corp. today announced that it has launched its digital asset wallet to allow gamers and others to store, send, receive, and use cryptocurrencies and non-fungible tokens across decentralized apps without having to leave their web browsers. The GameStop wallet is a self-custodial Ethereum wallet. The wallet extension, which can be downloaded from the Chrome Web Store, will also enable transactions on GameStop's NFT marketplace, which is expected to launch in the second quarter of the company's fiscal year. I don't know if this is launched yet. Back to the Forbes article, GameStop is looking for a way to turn around recent losses and survive in an increasingly digital era, where the market is now pushing 70 to 75% digital sales, depending on the title, and it's only going up every year. Big box stores are not doing well, obviously, because of, people buying digital all the time now. The majority of my gaming library is digital content, and I'm sure that applies to a lot of people who are listening too. It goes on to say GameStop can't even stock physical next-gen consoles with all the shortages. They are doing some interesting things, like this big bet on crypto and NFTs, even as the market has dramatically contracted in recent months. NFT sales are down 92% since they peaked in late 2021 and have increasingly made headlines with large-scale thefts and scams that have seen consumers lose their investments. But because many companies only jumped on this trend once it peaked, and it takes a while to set something like this up, we are now seeing things like GameStop setting up an NFT marketplace later this summer, when it's not clear what market might be for such a thing if interest keeps declining at this pace.
Yeah.
So It's GameStop being late to the party again. How many times has this happened?
A lot. I mean, you could say, oh, maybe they're buying low because they think it's going to bounce back up. But you could also say, they're dumb. And I feel like the second one would be more likely.
Accurate.
Yeah.
GameStop, it seems like GameStop execs have never been, the most attentive to actual consumer want or consumer desire.
Yeah.
It's weird to say those gross words out loud. So I'm looking forward to seeing like what kind of dumpster fire happens as a result, I guess. Because, I mean, the most recent thing was like the GameStop stock, like Reddit as a meme decided to artificially raise GameStop stock and like get a whole bunch of people to buy it, and then it crashed.
Yes. I mean, the article does mention that maybe GameStop is going for its like memeing Reddit-based audience, hoping they're like going to be
Maybe.
NFT bros as well.
Mm-hmm.
Like shifting who their audience is, but
Yeah. Get those crypto bros involved, sure. They'll buy anything.
And they'll explain in really vague terms why they're better than you while they spend all their money on it,
Oh yeah.
which is always fun.
Yeah. The terminology they love to use is what my question is, what does carbon neutral mean? Does that mean that there's zero give and take whatsoever? What does organic mean now? I don't know.
Organic doesn't mean anything. Everything's been modified for thousands of years. Why don't people understand?
Yeah. Even nanomachines are organic now. Whatever. Okay. Something that helps organisms who have disabilities are lots of accessibility features in video games, in particular. Organisms that like video games. Stay with me here. God of War Ragnarok has lots of accessibility features coming up when it's released. And they were very excited to share some of these accessibility features. So there is a PlayStation blog that includes some highlights for the features that are going to be in God of War Ragnarok, some of which were already included in God of War 2018. The sprint auto sprint, you'll be able to sprint while the stick is held and stop when released, so you won't have to have an extra input kind of thing. That's from the previous God of War. They're putting that back in. Persistent dot and always on reticle to help reduce motion sickness. If you're prone to motion sickness, that can apparently help with that. Aim style, you can change your aim and block style. But new things in God of War Ragnarok is subtitle and caption improvements, including things like size, color, what else? Background. Basically anything that could help with any level of vision impairment. There's a lot of options there. And even hearing impairment, because it's subtitles.
Yeah,
so
nice clear subtitles so you don't miss anything, including descriptions of like area effects as opposed to just standard dialogue.
Direction indicator. Critical gameplay sounds now have an optional direction indicator, which shows the direction the sound is coming from. I know Fortnite had already included something like this. It's probably a while ago at this point. It was an update, where it's going to be included in God of War Ragnarok as well, so you know where the action is going on. If you are hearing impaired or something along those lines, and need extra, visual indicators on stuff. Text size and icon size, very important stuff. Controller remapping, that's a big one. That's a huge one.
That's one where I'm surprised that wasn't already there.
I know.
Honestly.
This should be in every game. A lot of games don't. Like, they have default control schemes, or they have like control schemes that you shuffle in between, like 2 or 3. Yeah. But like, this needs to be like a standardized thing. And I'm glad they're doing that.
Being a PC gamer means that I do have the nice thing where pretty much every single game lets me rebind keys, and I've got a ton to choose from. And
Steam has a way of doing that too.
Oh, okay.
It's janky, but you can. It's real janky sometimes. Another one is high contrast color mode. Allows you to apply color to objects in game like targets, enemies, and other characters. And it shows a image of just characters that are high contrast, just colors. They have one where Kratos is blue and Atreus is yellow. Just the whole model of them is that color.
It looks really weird, but it does make really it clear to tell.
But they pop out, especially if you need some better silhouettes on your gameplay. Also, along with visual cues, there's going to be audio cues too. We have linked the sound cue to each of the on-screen interact prompts. That is no small task, by the way. So that when using this feature, you can hear when an interact icon is nearby, as well as when the button prompt becomes active. Yeah. That's really good. And they put more to come in here too. Like they're gonna, it's like 60 odd features for accessibility for God of War Ragnarok.
Yeah, good number.
And in no small part thanks to Alana Pierce, who is the host of the, I think 2 or 3 years running now, Video Game Accessibility Awards on her channel, and working for Santa Monica Studio as a writer for God of War Ragnarok. She delayed her bragging about it a little bit, but because she's an advocate, she worked with the team that helped the accessibility team at Santa Monica Studios to figure out what features it could use, because there's always more, right? So I think that is really cool, and also a great story to end the news section on. Give us more games with more accessibility. We want more people to play video games.
Yeah.
So if the gamer plays video games, they write bad articles. So I suppose I suppose we want them to play video games too.
Man, going in hard from the start. I was going to be like, oh, let's see how this gamer article turns out. You're just like, no, they're bad.
Well, they're talking about the classics, man. They're talking about my baby right here.
They're talking about a game which is almost 25 years old. Yep. Am I doing 25 tricks?
Yep. Fallout tips, tricks, classic games, players, no. That's the URL. So our topic is another The Gamer article. We know you guys love these. This one is by Lisa Wen. It's that weird spelling of Wen, which is Nguyen. My dentist also has a last name like that, so I was taught how to pronounce it, at least what the acceptable pronunciation is. Okay, I'll use you as the litmus test here, Sarge, because you haven't played much of the classics.
No, I've played a little bit, but I've never beat any classic game. I've really just dabbled around in them. Yeah,
but you'll be the judge. I'll have you just be the be all end all judge of whether or not these are things that you would probably figure out or you already knew before even playing, maybe.
Yeah.
Something that's
because the title for this is Fallout 25 Tricks from a Classic Games Players Have No Idea About.
Yeah.
There's
a lot to live up to here. I'll read the intro, set the stage.
I mean, I don't think you need to read all of this, because half of the intro is just explaining how the Fallout franchise used to be into play and is now Bethesda, and here's every game that's been released.
Maybe some people don't know. Maybe they're just like, oh, it's only been Bethesda. Come on, there's some people that just think about Fallout 3 onwards.
This is people on your channel, Caedo. You missed out. I'm making Fallout 2 videos every single week.
So what if there's Fallout 2 footage B-roll playing while we're talking about this?
I feel like the audience knows that much. Let's give them a bit of confidence.
All right. Should I give you credit? Comment below. I'll read a little bit of this first, though.
Okay.
The classic Fallout games developed a bit of a cult following. Only a bit. So not many new age fans will know about these tips and tricks! The original Fallout series was first released in the late 90s. They were only available to computer players. These post-apocalyptic role-playing games explained how the Vault Dweller and his descendant helped the West Coast rebuild centuries after the Great War. I skip ahead a little bit. Fallout 1 and 2 are completely different playstyle than the newest games, Fallout 3 and 4 reducing role-playing for more action, but 1 and 2 rely on players to create a unique character. Many gamers have no idea how to start playing the isometric classics.
Do you click the play button?
Our list contains a few tricks and tips on how to get started on the classic Fallout games. Though there's no single perfect way to play, you'll have the upper hand in rebuilding the West Coast. Before you begin, there are some spoilers on the list. Oh, the spoiler warning. That's nice. That's nice. That needs to be done more. Even though these are lists. Which,
this is also like for people who haven't started playing the games yet to get into them. And it's like, hey, we're going to teach you how to get into the game and spoil it.
That's kind of funny, actually. Okay, so number 25, Sarge.
Yes.
Do you want to...
It says master the controls. The first two Fallout games aren't the kind of games one plays with a controller.
Ooh.
To experience the game as the developer intended, you'll need to master the controls. If you want to select various objects in the world, you'll need to use your mouse.
I like the emphasis you're putting on this, Sarge.
I'm having to. The number of keyboard controls in the classic game is confusing for a new player. Review the control settings and save them for future use. There are keyboard shortcuts for almost every action in the game, including using lockpicks, adjusting screen brightness, and most importantly, quick saving. Adjusting screen brightness? There's a hotkey for that?
That's enough. I need to check. That's in the options menu, obviously.
Yeah. Well, I feel like I can comment a little bit on this while you check. First off, tiny bit condescending, those first two sections where I did all the emphasis, where it's like, whoa, have you heard of a mouse and keyboard? Think you can wrap your brain around this? It has that kind of a feel to it.
Listen up, gamers.
We know you're only smart enough to use 4 buttons, but this game has more than 4. Whoa!
Oh, yeah, there is. Okay, so it's plus and minus.
That's a
Increase
really
and
weird thing
decrease
to have for the
brightness.
hotkey.
Yeah.
Okay, well, there you go. There's a thing that even an expert didn't know.
Yeah, okay, so here's the dumb thing, though, that they didn't include at all. Where to find these.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, there's not actually any details on here for how you do this stuff. It's just this stuff exists.
Yeah.
Which
F1
isn't so helpful.
For everyone, by the way. Press F1 and it'll tell you how to do these things.
That they could have literally just said, press F1 and it'll tell you the shortcuts.
Yeah,
and then this would be helpful.
They could have, but they didn't.
Like, quick saving as well. That's something that I feel like modern players will know about, because there's hotkeys for that. I mean, Fallout 4, even on console, you just press, like, start, and then the first thing you can click is quick save.
Yeah.
So, yeah. Shortcuts for using lockpicks. If I knew what that one was, then yeah, that'd be super helpful.
Yeah.
I get that.
Can't remember what lockpicking is. I think it's 2 or 3. I don't remember which.
But I would have guessed L.
It's still strange for me too, because like I still don't know if you have the item in your active item slot, if you don't click it and instead just use your lockpick skill, if that bonus still gets applied or not. Like, I still have no idea. I've been playing this for several decades.
Yeah, not several decades. 2.5 at most.
A couple. But yeah, I still don't know. Still cool. So is this something you never would have known, Sarge?
Well, I probably would have figured out I need to learn the controls to play the game. It'd be pretty difficult to play the game if I didn't master the controls. Because then I'd just be staring at the screen going, why is nothing happening? Which... yeah, this first one kind of feels like they're talking to a complete idiot who's never heard of a video game before, and yet is somehow familiar with the modern Fallout games. So, not a great start.
No. Should I read the next one?
Yep, go for number 24.
All right, 24, almost unlimited storage. Should mention that the screenshot that they used here was
This
from
is
No Mutants Allowed.
pre-release.
This is pre-release.
Yeah.
A pre-release screenshot. Like, the UI does not look like this at all.
No.
Looks kind of cool, but yeah.
I even know that this is, like,
just thought that was really funny. Yeah. Says there's a variety of items and weapons to pick up in the classic games. An item you don't need now may become handy later. Luckily, there are plenty of storage options. Once you are accepted into the Brotherhood of Steel, you'll have your own personal locker. If you choose to avoid them, you can leave the items on a random NPC. Take care not to leave loot on enemies you've defeated. If their remains have begun to disappear, all loot that remains on them will be lost for good. Okay,
so don't leave loot on corpses. That's kind of helpful. The leaving items on a random NPC. that one feels weird.
You think?
Yeah. Like, I'm not sure how I'd go about doing that. Just like, hold on to this, I'll be back in a week.
Obviously, you punch them in the head, make them go unconscious, and then put the things on their body, and then run away.
And then to get it back, you punch them unconscious again?
Yeah, it's the perfect plan.
Oh, of course. I mean, knowing that once you're in the Brotherhood of Steel, you get a personal locker, that's handy information, I guess.
Yeah. It would be more important in that sense, though, like, if there wasn't, like, object permanence in most areas of the game.
Oh, can you just leave stuff anywhere?
If it's an area you can go back to and you leave stuff there, it's probably going to stay there.
Oh.
Containers or on the ground. Like,
okay.
Yeah. The only thing that they're just like, don't do that is the random encounters and like leaving stuff there. Obviously you can't come back, so you can't get the stuff you drop.
I mean, they don't actually say that for random encounters. It's just leave it on enemies you defeated.
Just talking about enemies
defeated. And then
defeated.
come back to it.
And like their corpses do disappear over time too. Like they just become a blood puddle after so much time.
Well, I think this is a vaguely helpful thing where I didn't know everything about it.
Yeah.
It's a bit weird and could do with clearing itself up a little bit. But I'd say reading this has provided me with some vague knowledge on how to be better at the original. So, 1 point awarded.
And they say classic games, but refer to the Brotherhood of Steel also, and don't mention the car at all. So there's also that. All right, so what's 23, Sarge?
Repair on the go. Tag skills offer your character additional bonuses. They are building blocks to developing your character, but were sadly removed from Fallout 4 and Fallout 76. Fallout 1 and 2 have your character fixing various broken items. Choosing the repair skill will give you a 20% plus a bonus. Will give you 20% plus a bonus, depending on your level of intelligence. Okay, that does make sense. It's just slightly clunky.
That's worded weird.
Repair will help you repair broken terminals and water pumps, which comes in handy towards the end of Fallout 1. By choosing this skill in Fallout 2, you'll also receive a repair tool, which can grant you an additional 20% bonus.
No.
Oh, I was literally about to ask, is that true? That's a weird thing.
Hold on, let me boot up Fallout 2 again really quick, just to clarify that.
So if
I'm pretty sure that's only a Fallout 1 thing.
Wait, so that is a thing in Fallout 1 where if you tag it, you get a repair tool?
You get equipment based on skill choice in Fallout 1. I know that for a fact because you're living in a vault. You get really cool stuff.
Okay, but in Fallout 2 you don't?
You are nerfed super hard in Fallout 2.
Yeah, well, Fallout 2 you have garbage and have to go through the worst intro ever.
Yes.
And I feel like I must have picked repair at some point, because I've attempted Fallout 2 several times. It just normally ends after 5 minutes.
So I'm starting it up really quick. I tagged repair.
Yep. What amazing gear has it given you? You have it. Is it a repair spear?
No.
Oh,
no. It's the spear you always start the game with.
Yeah. Okay, so this is... They really stumbled at the last hurdle here. So what they're mostly talking about is how tag skills work, which you do figure out when you play the game. Like, I know about tag skills. I have played some Fallout games. Tag skills are very self-explanatory.
Just a couple Fallout games.
Yeah. On half the Fallout games, you pick the skills you want to start out as higher at, and they're higher at the start. It's very simple. But then at the final bit, they almost had it right, they just said the wrong
Almost.
Fallout game
Yes.
where you earn a repair tool. Because that's almost really good info, because I wasn't aware that in Fallout 1 you got different equipment depending on your tag skills.
Yeah. Yeah, it's actually really cool how they did that.
Yeah, that's something I hadn't realised. But they got it wrong by saying it's Fallout 2. They got the wrong game.
Yeah.
Which then invalidates the information because it's just false.
Yeah. I mean, there's also the title of this entry is also seems a little bit misleading. Repairing on the go implies that you can repair your stuff. Like, that's the vibe I get when I hear repair on the go, but it's definitely not that. It's
all they say is it can help repair broken terminals and water pumps.
Yeah, it's contextual objects that you can repair if you have the skill to do it, like any other skill.
Because there's not weapon condition in Fallout 1 and 2, is there?
No, not at all.
No. Okay, so yeah, that is. It would have been nice if they explained a little bit better what repair does.
Yeah.
Because
I mean, they say it's important in the first one.
Yeah, from this article though, all it does is repairs broken terminals and water pumps, which is only 2 things. And like, sure, that sounds okay.
There is more, of course, but like that's apparently the ones they wanted to stick to. Water pumps is important though, because you're supposed to get a water chip, you know.
Yeah, but I feel like just about every skill sounds better.
Yeah.
Like, I'd rather be good at first aid so I can heal myself, rather than fix someone's computer for them, and then have them slam the door on my face. Like, I don't want to go to the post-apocalypse for that. I can have it happen in real life, thank you very much.
I think it depends on the door, but like jammed locks can be repaired as well, so you can keep trying to lockpick them. I think so. I'd have to go back and check that too. I'm done booting up the game a whole bunch to check things though. So
that's fine. All right, let's move on to number 22. I'm not giving them a point for that one. If they'd wrote Fallout 1 instead of Fallout 2 at the end, they'd get a point, but they failed on the final word
for the repair thing. By the way, those that are listening, if you want to follow along, we have all this stuff linked in the description. Like, so if you want to follow along with us and see what kind of ratings that you give the article / list, please do. I don't think we've really had anybody do that in the comments yet, and I do kind of want to see like what seems like a no-brainer to you, especially if you haven't played the classic games, because I have a bias and an advantage. I'm currently stomping through Fallout 2 in a playthrough. Okay, so number 22. Give them a warning first. What the heck does this mean? The classic Fallout games had a bad reputation for letting characters eliminate the youngest characters. Let me read that again.
No, you read it right. That's 100% what it says. It's just
I know.
Really badly
I just want to read
worded.
it again for the people in the back. The classic Fallout games had a bad reputation for letting characters eliminate the youngest characters.
Characters.
This is the workaround that they used when they talked about unaliving the younglings.
Why don't they just say "ew" all the time instead?
Reading along, if you chose to harm them, you'd be marked by other NPCs for your sinister deeds. They also didn't say the youngling killer trait. There are alternate ways to stop the law-breaking kids in Fallout 2. After giving them a few warnings, they will eventually stop trying to pickpocket your character. They will quickly learn not to mess with the chosen ones. Take your warning too far, and the situation can quickly get out of hand. This is so vague.
I mean, this is kind of helpful, but they are doing the thing that you make me do, where I'm not allowed to talk about unaliving small living things.
Small potatoes.
Yeah. And it makes it more clunky. That's why I just want to say the phrase, but I don't want to give you more editing work, so I'm trying not to.
Thank you, Sarge.
But they're doing this as well, and I feel like they could get away with saying it in the article, right?
Yeah, well,
like,
I wonder if the Google algorithm is still like working against them if they do.
Maybe. Like, I get what they're saying here, though, and the point about giving them, like, warning kids that pickpocket you, but don't go too far with the warnings, that seems helpful. Is that actually a thing in the game?
I'm pretty sure that there's no actual dialogue. Like, they have little barks that they do, like the text that appears above their head, but I don't think you can just open dialogue with them and tell them to stop stealing your stuff.
Oh.
You can, however, counter pickpocket them. It won't stop you from doing that.
That's
Or,
something.
these kids that they're talking about specifically are the ones in the den. Like those, I'm pretty sure those are like the only kid NPCs that do that in Fallout 2.
Yeah.
Because they're standing at the doorways of a whole bunch of the establishments. Like you probably will get something stolen because you're walking by two of them at a time. But the stuff that they steal also end up at Tubby's, which is one of the merchants there. So like there's still kind of a way to get your stuff, but what they're explaining here as a solution is not at all.
I was going to give him like half a point for this, but I think between just how vague everything is and the last part not really being real, I don't think I can give him a point. Like, if you choose to harm them, you'll be marked by other NPCs for your sinister deeds. If that told me, like, what that actually means, that'd be helpful. But instead it's just like, hey, do something bad, and the game will know. You
can say it in just as few words, too. Like,
yeah.
They're being needlessly coy on some of this.
Yeah, it's...
Bounty hunters will hunt you down.
Perfect. If you choose to harm them, bounty hunters will come after you. Easy.
Yeah.
Super easy, but they did not write it.
Yeah. It's funny.
Alright. On to 21 now. They've only got 1 point so far, and we're almost a fifth of the way through.
You're keeping track, I hope.
Oh, yeah. Keep on moving. While in combat, your character will use AP to perform any action, even opening your inventory. Enemies won't stop and wait for you to finish. They'll keep creeping up towards you to attack. If you need more time, move away from them. Most enemies won't strike until they're in the perfect range to land their attack. Not all attacks will hit their targets, so it'll give you a bit of extra time to plan your moves without wasting ammo or AP. Even if you do decide to strike, use your unused AP to move further away from your enemies. I think this one deserves a point overall.
Why?
It's a little bit clunky, especially enemies won't stop and wait for you to finish. That feels wrong. Because this isn't real time, this is turn-based. But everything else, like enemies will try to get into perfect range to land their attack. That's true, right?
What?
Enemies...
Sorry, say again?
Most enemies won't strike until they're in the perfect range to land their attack.
Yes. That's...
Yeah,
yes.
And the point at the end, even if you do decide to strike, use your unused AP to move further away from your enemies. Genuine kind of helpful tip. Like, I'd say this one's mostly helpful. There is a very misleading sentence in there.
Yeah.
But apart from that...
You know, it'd be great. I'm gonna operate under the assumption that this person has only played Fallout Tactics.
That could be the case.
The real-time isometric Fallout game.
Yeah. But, I mean, they even point out that opening your inventory costs AP, which is true, right? I remember that from the game,
and there's perks to lower that, too.
Yep. Overall, this is actual helpful advice to someone who's new to the games. Like, could still be formatted a little bit better. Honestly, if they just remove the sentence, enemies won't stop and wait for you to finish, this would be perfect.
Because that one's really... Yeah.
Yeah, that one makes it seem like it's Dark Souls and you open up your inventory and something runs up and stabs you. Which isn't how Fallout works.
Or Fallout 4 VATS.
Yeah, or Fallout 76 as well.
Oh yeah, like that's just full real time. Yeah.
But you know what? I'm just going to say, keep on moving gets a point, and we're going to keep on moving to number 20.
Okay, yeah. Make gameplay easier or harder. Oh, I'm excited for this one. For those new to the classic games, they can be difficult to enjoy.
Yeah.
The games can become difficult quickly. Don't be afraid to set the difficulty lower, and then raise it again when you're better at the game. Easy mode will grant you a 20% bonus to your secondary skills outside of combat, while hard mode will decrease it by 10%. Lowering it to wimpy will give you an even more of an advantage by decreasing the enemy's perception and cutting their attack damage by half.
Are those stats and details true?
I can only confirm, like, without checking myself. Easy mode, yes. Because you have combat difficulty and game difficulty. Like those are two different switches. The combat difficulty, I always set it to rough just because I like enemies shooting me in limbs because I'm a masochist, I guess. But the game difficulty thing only affects your active skills. I guess secondary would count as like active and passive skills. Whatever. Terminology is stupid.
Overall, I'm inclined to give this one a point as well.
I would too, yeah.
Because it's basically what we were saying earlier about difficulty. It tries to give us some specific details, but still the overall point works. In fact, my biggest problem with this is that the image they have is via youtube.com with no information about what YouTube channel or anything. It's just like
and which
got it from YouTube.
Wonder if I can reverse search.
Well, it'll be a screenshot of a video, Caedo.
See where it takes me.
There's no way. You'll just find this article probably.
Nope, can't find it.
Someone made a YouTube video of playing the game.
Someone did.
Badly cropped image of it.
It's actually using the proper aspect ratio. So
yeah, but every other image they've like stretched out to fill their image thing. In this one, we've got 2 black bars. Like, I'd rather have just had it be stretched out, especially seeing as there's tons of room at the top they could get rid of instead.
Yeah, that's true.
Alright.
That's just a nitpick, though.
Yeah. On to point... They still get the point for that one.
Mm-hmm.
Number 19, plan every battle. Avoiding every battle in the classic games is impossible. Even if you talk your way out of a fight with an NPC, there are enemies on the road. There's still a random encounter will force you into a fight. That's our first actual typo. It's supposed to be there's still a chance a random encounter will force you into a fight, but they put change instead.
Mm-hmm.
If you're in a situation where a battle is about to begin, quickly press the attack button. You'll highlight the location of all your enemies to plan your attacks. Press the attack button when the battle begins to get in the first attack. By acting quickly, you'll have an advantage over the enemy.
That's true.
The attack button, it's not called attack, is it? Is it combat?
It's the A button on your keyboard.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, that just it initiates combat.
Yeah.
It's like just a quick key for like if you're clicking your weapon in your active slot.
All right. Yeah, the only obviously there's a typo in here, but other than that, I'd say if they said what the attack button was, that'd be nice.
Yeah,
but
it would.
This does seem like a genuine tip.
Mm-hmm.
Good on them.
We can nitpick about the screen cap again, because that's very clearly Fallout Online, a fan project.
Someone in there is called Erotica. And if, all of those characters there are, pretty much all in combat armor, it seems like, and marked as green. There's no point in the actual classic games where you'd end up like that, with, 20 people on your side, just fighting 2 raider corpses, it looks like. No, I see 4, maybe 5 corpses at most. Yeah, that's... The classic doesn't. They can let you outnumber your enemies. Come on. Alright, well, I'm still giving them a point overall. That's solid. Enough.
Yeah.
On to number 18.
Am I reading this one, or are you?
You're reading this one. We alternate.
I'm reading this one. Okay, right. I'm keeping track. Don't even... Invest in agility. Number 18. Fallout 2 amps up the difficulty from the previous game. While some gamers choose to lower the difficulty, others try to make it through without the help. To ensure you'll have plenty of points to complete actions in battle, invest in agility. This skill will grant you more action points in battle. Planning your movies and keeping an eye on your agility points will help you in any fight. You don't want to lose a battle because you ran out of AP too quickly.
Alright, typo once again.
2 typos.
Yeah, oh man. That seems pretty solid. The fact that you talk about Fallout 2 amping up the difficulty at the start kind of implies that you wouldn't need as much AP in the previous game. Would you agree with that? I mean, you're not instantly saying no, so...
I think that's a rule
can't be terrible.
For the classics regardless.
Yeah.
the need for agility doesn't really change.
Okay.
It doesn't become more dire. The main thing that changes is you go from being a vault dweller who's competent in a lot of things, and I did this yesterday, by the way. You go from a vault dweller that's competent in a lot of things with if all of your attributes are at 1, you have a lot of double digits in skills still. If all of your attributes are 1 as a tribal in the second game, you have a lot of single digit skills because you're a tribal. You don't know how to use guns. So that whole thing is against you in the second game. I went back and checked because I was trying to help someone in the subreddit because they were just like, this is really hard. Because 2 is harder than 1.
Okay. Well, overall, that seems solid. They're up to 5 points. This is pretty good. Like, we've been through 7, 8 points at this point, so that's more than half they've got, and a fifth of the whole list so far, and we're not even halfway through. So, the gamer, you might have stepped up your game.
You might.
A little
you might
bit.
have. Yeah.
All right. On to point 17. Conserve your valuables. Players have the freedom to build their characters however they'd like. They may decide to roleplay as a character with specific skills. In the classic games, ammo isn't as easy to obtain. Fallout 3 and 4 make it too easy to loot ammo from fallen enemies. While you learn how to play the classic games, try an unarmed or melee skill build instead of firearms. There will be less of a need to acquire ammo if you only need your bare hands. I will say the Fallout 3 and Fallout 4 make it too easy to loot ammo. Feels like a really weird gripe about the modern games.
Yeah.
Maybe they're trying to say there's like an abundance of ammo in those games.
Yeah. They're a New Vegas stand too, because they weren't just like, you can just make ammo in New Vegas.
Yeah, and also I'd say Fallout 3 actually doesn't give you a ton of ammo.
Not at the start, no.
Like, Fallout 3, it's a little difficult to kind of keep your ammo supplies high. Fallout 4, it's super easy, I'd say.
Yeah.
And New Vegas, obviously, you can make ammo.
If you're playing Fallout 3 Game of the Year, though, and you beeline to the pit and finish it, then you have the ammo press. So, like,
yes,
there is that.
That does require going to the top of the map and beating a full DLC, though. So it's at least a little bit of a way through before you can sort yourself out.
Yeah.
But, what are your opinions on unarmed or melee?
For the classic games, it's not very good advice.
Oh, okay. Man, I was leaning towards giving this a point. I was like, yeah, that seems solid.
It's going to vary from encounter to encounter.
Okay.
If you're in melee range with anybody who has burst fire capabilities, you're very likely to get one shot.
Okay.
Very likely. Like, they do not mess around with burst fire weapons. While they only have so much ammo on them, if they have like an assault rifle or a combat shotgun or even a 10mm SMG, which notoriously Ian is known for blowing the player character up with, melee is a different beast. It's good to have, melee for like if you run out of everything else, I guess. But the tagline is conserve your valuables, and seems like they're just talking about ammo. This one's kind of weird to me.
Yeah, I'd say it starts fairly strong, and then tails off, because with it being conserve your valuables, it would make sense to be like, oh, sometimes you might want to try a bit of unarmed and melee, but then it's like, oh, if you only need your bare hands, it'll be fine.
Yeah, and
it's like, while you learn to play, just don't use firearms.
Yeah,
which
I should specify though too. I'm still thinking about Fallout 1. In Fallout 2, like, I do recommend like starting with a tagged melee skill.
Yeah, it's the only way to get through the Temple of Trials.
But primarily just to get through the Temple of Trials.
Yeah.
Because you probably will also want to have guns tagged as well if you're going to use ranged weapons, because guns starts really low for a tribal.
I'm going to leave it down to you for this one. Do you think it's a point-worthy one or not a point-worthy one?
I think this one's too vague.
Too vague, all right.
Because I think if you're following through with a melee character, you need to have a little bit of min-maxing in mind.
All right.
To be able to survive.
Fair enough. We're still at just 5 then.
Yeah.
Number 16 now.
Uh-huh. This is me. Okay.
Yeah, this is
Keep track of it. Sorry. 16. Keep track of everything. The classic Fallout games rely on the player to track their actions. The game doesn't do many things in your favor automatically. That's weird phrasing. If an NPC needs your help, there's no detailed quest log. You'll have to work out all the details on your own before setting out. To save yourself some trouble, try to complete all the quests in one location before moving on. The fewer quests you have to complete, the less time you'll spend running around trying to remember what you were supposed to do next.
Point.
Yeah.
That's just genuine solid advice.
If I do want to add on to it though, there is the status section of your Pip-Boy that you can go to the status section and then go to a settlement that you've been to, and you can also track your quests that way. It's kind of buggy, but you can track your quests.
Alright. Well, they do say there's no detailed quest log, so I'll still give them that.
Yeah.
That's... that. Gotta be honest, gamer, you're kind of doing good here.
Yeah.
This is surprising. They might have to stop poo-pooing them all the time.
I would still make fun of them.
No, okay. Alright. 15. Use your companions to help. As with most Fallout games, enemies drop loot.
I don't believe it.
That's such a funny first sentence.
Eureka!
Wow. Also, what Fallout game do enemies not drop loot in? I can't think of one.
Fallout Pinball.
Yeah, I was about to say, unless we're including Fallout Pinball. That's it. Okay, you may even find loot within the world or from other characters. There's plenty of items to carry, but even less room to carry it. If your character needs to take everything, you'll quickly run out of inventory space. If your character plans on recruiting one or more companions, there's no need to accept the Strongback perk. All of your precious loot can be distributed with the companions. They won't complain that you're using them as walking storage.
Huh.
Is this another point?
Yeah, I think so.
They're up to 7 now, but yeah, that's just genuine advice.
Just remove a point for them saying enemies drop loot.
No, it's true. It's just... it's so stupid. It's like saying, the bad guys don't like you.
Oh, yes. The bad guys shoot at you because they don't like you.
Alright, but we're up to 7. I genuinely am counting these on my hand because I was like, 10's gonna be more than enough. I'm not sure anymore.
Don't you have a notepad on your desk or something?
Yeah, but then I'd have to, like, jot down stuff. I was only thinking it would go up to 10. It's fine, I can still do this.
Alright.
Just, let's go on to number 14, Caedo.
Okay.
Let's do this all in one.
Keep away from danger. Number 14. In Fallout 3 and 4, if your character is close to defeat, you can run away from your enemies. They'll eventually turn around and head back to their assigned location. It's possible to run away from enemies in the classic games as well. In battle, all moves cost AP, or action points. Use your leftover AP to run away from enemies. It'll give you enough time to think about your actions. Once you're ready to launch your attack, move closer and attack. Combat will end soon as all hostile enemies are out of range.
Any critiques for this one?
And as soon as all hostile enemies are out of range. This seems like no-brainer stuff to me.
I mean...
A little bit.
It's still better to know about it than not know about it. It's not as no-brainer as the start, where it's like, hey, do you know you need to press buttons? Like, a reminder that you can run away from the fight rather than just sticking with it can be helpful. Because there's plenty of games as well which don't let you run away from fights. And it's just, hey, you have to kill everything, and you can't leave the location. So, I can see this being helpful. They do mention that in the modern games as well, you can run away. So it's not like they're ignoring that and pretending this is revolutionary to the franchise. They're up to 8 points.
Well, if it's not revolutionary, then it's not really a useful tip. That's the criteria we started with. So I don't know if that's worth a point.
I'd still say this is worth a point.
Okay.
I'm giving this one a point.
All right. Give it a point.
I think it's worth it. Like, Mr. I've played these games tons, obviously you know about it, but I feel like there's plenty of us out there who might not instantly be like, oh, I can just flee from this.
The thing is, like, I feel like there's kind of a variation on this one already, though, too. The keep on moving thing. Like, that's very similar. Like, manage your AP and keep your distance from enemies.
There's a difference between keeping your distance and actually fleeing from the fight.
Not all attacks will hit.
Yeah, I'm sticking with a point for this.
All right.
I don't think you can put all of movement just into one thing. I'm happy with that.
Okay. All right.
All right.
13.
Yes. Don't overestimate your companions. Groups of enemies can attack the Vault Dweller or Chosen One. The odds often seem against your favour. Thankfully, you can bring companions with you into battle. The player can give almost any weapon to their companions. Companions can use full auto weapons, but they can't control where they're aiming.
Hmm.
Don't give a companion a full auto firearm such as a minigun. They'll begin to fire at everything in sight, including the protagonists. The battle may be lost due to their incompetence with a weapon. Clunky wording with they can't control where they're aiming.
Yeah.
But I do get what they're talking about, because followers kill you in the classics too often.
There's a reason Ian is notorious for
Yeah.
protag killing companion.
Yeah, and I have heard this point parroted plenty of times about not using full auto weapons with followers.
Yeah.
In case they do just shred you.
Oh yeah. My Fallout 2 playthrough has many occasions of Marcus blowing up my character because I gave him a Bozar.
Yep.
But then later, I gave him a laser rifle, and then a plasma rifle, and he didn't hit me. He did hit Cassidy a couple of times, but he didn't hit me with it. So that's progress. And also, because it's not a burst fire weapon, like it does like 1 damage amount instead of a whole bunch of damages.
Automatic weapons are just lethal in the classics.
Yes.
Ridiculously so.
They absolutely are.
Alright, well, I'm happy with that point as well. They're starting to load these with actual genuine points that could be helpful to people.
Yeah. I think there's a severe lack of information still on some of these.
Yeah, this definitely isn't like, wow, what an amazing guide. But it is like, okay, this is actual stuff to keep in mind.
Because I am the guide man.
Yeah.
Classic games too. I'm just like, there's a lot more to this.
Yeah, I'm judging this as a listicle. Judging it as an actual, like, guide, trash.
Mm-hmm.
But as a listicle, it's good.
Okay.
Alright, number 12. Go ahead, Caedo.
Alright. I don't think this one should get a point. Anyway.
What? Just read it out.
Because it's no-brainer stuff. Anyway. Number 12. Use enemies to get stronger. Death Claws have been a part of the Fallout series from the first game. Though their name implies their danger, they aren't invincible. The creatures take some skills to defeat, but they're worth the effort. Find a cave filled with the enemies and get to work. Defeat all of the Death Claws you can, then leave the cave. After healing your character and repairing your weapons, enter the cave and start all over again. You can farm bonus XP for as long as you want. Just remember not to destroy the Deathclaw eggs. That's how the creatures respawn.
Weapons don't have condition.
Of inconsistencies.
That one I instantly know is wrong. Also, the idea of just, hey, you go kill some Deathclaws, it'll be easy, is kind of a theme that's going on here, and I'm like, But I think the key point, which we need to figure out, is, do the Deathclaws just infinitely respawn?
This is a very specific location where they respawn.
Okay.
This is the Deathclaws in the LA Boneyard. If you don't destroy the eggs, after, I believe after so much time, I believe even on the surface, they will respawn. So you can fight like a couple at a time. But that's really tedious.
Yeah. Would you say it's worth it for the XP? Do Deathclaws give a lot of XP?
They do. But they also carve through your health really quick. So while you'll probably, if you survive, if you'll be getting, a good amount of XP, you'll also be spending a lot of healing items.
Wait, is this the classic Fallout? Fallout 1?
Yes.
I'm not giving it a point then. Fallout 1 is on a timer. You spend all your time fighting these Deathclaws, the timer's ticking away, and they've not mentioned anything to slow down or stop the timer yet.
Smart guy.
Yeah, I'm not giving them this point, because I feel like this one could so easily backfire on you.
This is super confusing them too, because besides the repairing weapons thing, which is hilarious. Remember to heal yourself, but also there are Deathclaw caves in Fallout 2 that have lesser Deathclaws in them, which are way easier to kill and also give a crap ton of experience. But those are largely in random encounter caves, so like there's still like a lot of RNG, and you can't just enter the cave again and expect them to be there. Like once you clear an encounter, it's cleared. So like it's still really inconsistent with what actually happens.
Okay, on to number 11 now. Get bonus items early.
Ooh.
In the first free games, players are allowed to choose free tag skills. Tag skills will increase at double the rate of untagged skills in the classic games. Picking the tag perk will let you pick out a fourth tag skill. There's an immediate bonus depending on which tag skill you choose. Small gun specialists get an extra helping of ammo, while unarmed brawlers get a pair of brass knuckles. These bonus items are added onto the initial starting equipment you receive at the beginning of the game. Alright. I have immediate things. First off, the image they're using via Moby Games has HP 999, AC 999.
Yeah.
That's not possible without like cheating, right?
They use the Fouch, the Fallout character editor.
Yeah. Alright, next, the first free games have tag skills. That's... what?
Yep.
Does Tactics have tag skills? That's the third game in the series, right?
Yeah, Tactics, and also... I guess I think that's what they were...
Yeah. It just feels kind of weird, because you get tag skills in, like, Fallout 1, 2, Tactics, 3, New Vegas.
Yes.
Like, there's a lot of tag skills. Do they increase at double the rate of untagged skills in the classics?
Yes.
Cool. And the immediate bonus, that's for Fallout 1, right?
Yeah.
Getting extra ammo.
We already talked about the bonus item thing. Like I just booted up the game to check it.
Yeah, we've already
I had
seen
a
that
spear when I checked repair.
So this doesn't apply to Fallout 2 though.
No.
And if you pick the tag perk in Fallout 1, do you get the bonus items?
I don't know.
Dang, because that was going to be my deciding point on if this gets a point or not.
I really don't think so though. Because that would be very strange if you just had something spawn in your inventory when you're way out of the way of the vault. Because it implies, like, if it's after character creation, that your tag skills are the things you're proficient in, and you get vault equipment based on that. So if you did later in the game, just for picking a perk, just summon an object of power.
Yeah. You know what? Conditionally, I'm not going to give this a point.
Ah, yes.
I feel like it's covering stuff we've already gone over. If this was all about, like, the extra boost to the skills, I would actually give it a point. But their title is Get Bonus Items Early, which they have already covered. And once again, they're not mentioning that it's just in the first Fallout game. In fact, they say the first 3 games just makes it even more confusing. So, not getting a point for this one, I'm afraid.
Good.
Maybe number 10 will do it.
Maybe number 10. They already have control. That's a weird choice for a title. The energy weapons skill will give you a bonus with energy weapons. You can further increase it by talking to Larry for an additional 5% bonus.
Oh, of course. Why didn't I think of that?
Yes. Don't feel tempted to increase energy weapons at the beginning of the game. The Brotherhood of Steel has hoarded most of the laser weapons, making them harder to obtain. If you do find an energy weapon at the start of your journey, getting ammo for it is even harder. It's better to wait to improve your talent with this category of weapons until you're further into the game. Who the heck is Larry?
Oh, you don't know? You don't know about Larry? What? Larry, of course. He's Larry. He improves your energy weapons skill. Well, Larry Necropolis? Larry is part of Harry's squad of super mutants?
He's a potentially hostile mutant. And not someone who would train you in energy weapons.
Nope. Cells super mutants come from a watershed. This includes Larry, yeah. There's no mention of him improving your energy weapons skill.
Larry of Lost Hills, there we go. Larry is a knight who specializes usage of laser weapons. So they're talking about speaking to Larry in the Brotherhood of Steel bunker.
Okay.
After you gain entry to the Brotherhood of Steel.
That wasn't very clear. It does lead to a 5% increase to energy weapons.
Yes.
That's something.
Yeah.
So, how much would you agree with not going with energy weapons early on and just taking it late game?
Yes. That's the natural progression of both games.
Okay. I'm tempted to give them the point for this one. The Larry thing...
There's 2 Larrys in Fallout 1, at least.
Yeah, and it's also just like, hey, talk to Larry, which is not too helpful. But I think overall they still get a point, because talking about how the Brotherhood still has hoarded the laser weapons, they're hard to obtain, you get them late. Those points are all still there. I'm willing to give them it, because it stops you wasting points early on. I can see that being helpful. They just got up to 10 as we're into the single digits ones. So,
oh, wow.
Yeah. Number 9, open up new paths. At the beginning of every Fallout game, except for Fallout 4 and 76, players must choose 3 tag skills. Well, that one's wrong. Before, they had done too few, now they've got to done too many. Sorry, let's keep going. These tag skills are what your character's build is dependent upon. If your character wants to use firearms, you'll select various gun-related skills.
Yes.
I get what they mean there. It's because the different games use different skills, but...
Yeah.
Those who are gifted with charisma will choose more speech-related skills instead. Depending on which tag skills you pick, they will open up new paths for your character. When creating a new character, you want to experiment with the skills to open new opportunities in the game. Skills opening up new paths for your character. What's your view on that?
If they said skills as a whole instead of tag skills, this would kind of almost be helpful. But they said tag skills specifically.
Yeah, are there points in like the classic games where if you have a high skill, then you get extra stuff happening in the game and new things you can go and do?
But that can also occur naturally by just raising a skill that's not tagged.
Okay.
The tagging part is my sticking point, because tag is not factored in whatsoever.
No, that part's definitely wrong. What I want to establish though is it specifically a case of, say I have 100% gun skill on Fallout 1, is something new unlocked for me?
No.
Alright, what is it then that happens with skills relating to the new paths for your character?
You're just better at them. I think since this paragraph is talking about charisma, speech-related skills, I think they're talking about like unlocking dialogue options, like having a higher intelligence or speech will result in other outcomes to things.
Maybe that's what you're decoding out of it.
But
as the noob, I read this and go, when my skills get higher, different things will happen in the game.
Yeah. No.
Which isn't actually true.
No.
Okay. No, they don't get a point for that.
If the skills are like, if we're talking about practical application, yes, probably. But it's not just the act of raising a skill that does it.
Because, like, sure, if your lockpick's higher, you'll be able to break into more places.
Yeah.
It's not like you hit 150 lockpick and suddenly a spaceship shows up. Oh!
Yeah, and why would you hit 150 lockpick anyway?
What? You don't like my min-max lockpick build?
Oh, when's the playthrough, Sarge?
Oh god, no. On to number 8 now, Caedo, a game of luck. Let's shoot through these ones.
A game of luck. Luck will increase your character critical hits in battle. You'll need that extra help if you're fighting against a tough enemy. Luck also gives you an upper hand in gambling, which is a skill in all the classic games. If you have at least luck 6, you'll have a chance to encounter an alien in a random event. The Vault Dweller will find the Alien Blaster, which deals between 30 and 90 damage or more. Paired with the Action Boy or Girl, bonus rate of fire, and Sniper, you'll have the chance to strike a target for 300 to 800 damage.
Is the point about having 6 luck or higher giving you an alien random encounter true?
I'm pretty sure it's all RNG based, just with a higher chance, the higher your luck.
Okay.
And also, depending, there might be some influence with the outdoorsman skill too.
Okay, what about the alien blaster dealing 30 to 90 damage? And
Yes.
those things boosting it?
It's broken. It's beyond broken.
I think I'm willing to give them a point for this.
Okay.
Seems generally overall some helpful information in there. Not perfect, but good enough. We're up to 11.
This is also Fallout 1 specific, because it's talking about the Vault Dweller.
Yeah, I have a feeling they may not have played Fallout 2. There seems to be a lot of
You
stuff
think
from
so?
Fallout 1, and they're just like, yeah, the second game probably does it too. Maybe they're like me and just did Temple Trials, and then we're like, well, screw this game. Alright, number 7, talk things out. Charisma allows your character to barter for lower prices in shops, and opens up new dialogue options with NPCs. In Fallout 2, the Charisma special trait has another benefit. The Chosen One can recruit more companions depending on how many points they have in Charisma. If their Charisma is at 5, the Chosen One can recruit 2 companions. Companions are almost vital to give your character the upper hand in battle. You'll need all the help you can get, no matter what your Charisma level is. Other recruitable companions will join, even with a low Charisma level. Is it true that in the second game, your companion limit is based on your Charisma stat?
Yes.
They get a point then.
Yep.
We can move straight on. That's just actual information which is helpful that I did not know. We're up to 12 now. What's number 6, Caedo?
That second part is actually...
If the Charisma is at 5?
Other recruitable companions will join even at a low Charisma level. Yeah, that part is also true.
Cool. That's just actual.
It's just like specific ones though. Like
All right.
even the unhelpful ones like Pariah Dog.
Okay.
Number 6. Reduce travel time. The Fallout game maps are quite large. It can become a chore to travel back and forth between each location. Luckily for players, there's a unique perk that only appears in the classic Fallout games. The Pathfinder perk reduces your travel time by 25% on the world map. The perk also reduces the Highwayman vehicle's battery drain by 24%. To acquire this perk, you'll need to reach level 6, endurance level 6, and reach a minimum of 40% of the outdoorsman skill.
Okay, you went, when Pathfinder was mentioned.
Yeah, I'm pretty sure that's in Fallout 3 or something similar.
I'm gonna Google it.
No, I'm wrong. I was thinking of like Pioneer, probably.
Yeah, but this just seems correct. With each level of perk, your travel on the world time is reduced by 25%. The drain on Highwayman's battery. That just seems correct.
That is correct, but I think this perk is useless.
Oh.
And I think that the amount of perks that you get in the classic games has not been factored in at all yet in this list.
Oh, okay, that might be a point then. Okay, explain to me why it's useless, and based on that I'll decide whether or not this is worthy.
Okay, they're using the Highwayman as an argument for wanting the Pathfinder perk, but the Highwayman has at least 3 upgrades that increase its efficiency and its speed on the map, which the car is already wicked fast.
Alrighty.
And you don't need an outdoorsman skill at all to get the benefits out of this. Or waste your level 6 perk, which would be your second perk, as long as you didn't take the skill trait.
Oh, yeah, it's 3 levels. Stupid.
Yes.
They don't get a point.
I'm big braining right now, but
I forget just how few a number of perks you get.
Every 3 levels. Or every 3rd level.
Stupid. I hate it. I hate it.
You gotta actually plan your build in these games.
The build maker in me is being like, no, it's so restrictive. I basically have to beat the game to get the build I want. No, we're moving on. I'm angry with it.
Still waiting in my playthrough to get Slayer.
Jeez. All right.
But then everything dies instantly, so it's kind of overpowered.
Hopefully this next point will cover what you just talked about. Number 5, a vehicle with many perks.
Yes.
Fallout 2 gives your character something no other Fallout has. The Highwayman. The Highwayman is a working vehicle that will make the Chosen One's life easier while on the road. Driving the car will reduce the chance of random encounters. Another advantage is how much the vehicle can carry. It can hold your entire party, even if there are more companions than seats in the car. The Highwayman's trunk can also be used as storage for around 30 extra inventory slots. How do you get the Highwayman?
It doesn't say that.
No. Like, I want to give this a point, but there's zero information on it. Will you just, like, naturally come across this without, like, too much exploration or anything? Is it, like, mainline story you will find it?
You do, but it has a crucial part missing when you find it. So...
Okay, are you, like, instructed to go and get the part?
Yes, but there's not many hints on where to find it. Like, there's very little... There's scant hints on where to actually get the part that you need. And the car and the place you get the part for the car are very far from each other. Like, the car is in the den, and the fuel cell controller that you need to get it to actually run is in Gecko, which is like really far on the east side of the map.
I think the key thing here, for if I'm going to get that point or not, is do you think new players to Fallout 2 would not notice the Highwayman when playing through normally?
I think they would.
They would notice it?
Yeah, because there is a side quest from Moms that takes you directly to Smitty, who will talk about the car.
I'm giving them the point for it then.
Okay.
It's good. It's not great. Don't get me wrong. These points aren't like, wow, what an amazing tip. It's just, hey, this is a kind of useful thing to know. All right, Caedo. On to number 4.
Give yourself an extra boost. Those new to the classic Fallout games will recognize one feature. Chems have a useful side effect. There aren't enough points to max out every ability. There was a period there.
Yes.
You may decide your character doesn't need charisma as much as other skills. There are ways to get a temporary boost for skills. Using Mentats will give your character a temporary boost to pass the speech test. This is oversimplified. If your character is out of Mentats and can't afford more, wearing unique items like mirrored shades will boost your charisma by 1 point. Chems do things.
Yeah, I guess they get the point for this.
I don't know.
You're
the one who calls it.
We were shaky on the last one, so I'm gonna combine these two together into 1 point in total.
Okay.
So they get 1 solid point for the last 2 for both not quite having enough information. Bending it just a little bit. Okay. On to number 3.
Can I gripe? I wanted to gripe about it for a second.
Go ahead and gripe.
Using Mentats will give your character a temporary boost to pass a speech test. There is no context there. And also, it raises charisma and intelligence, where I don't think it says that anywhere.
It doesn't. Does that mean you get more XP?
Doesn't need charisma as much as... And then the paragraph beforehand, it says you don't need as much charisma as other skills. Well... And then it talks about the mirrored shades, which they don't talk about where to get those either.
No, it doesn't. It's lacking crucial information.
Yes.
Alright,
people
point
have
number
to
3.
Google those.
Yeah. Don't engage in every battle. As you're playing the game, you'll begin developing the best attack methods for your character. Although making your character invincible is fun for some, there are other, more peaceful ways to solve an encounter. According to the in-game description, charisma is a combination of appearance and charm. A high charisma is important for characters that want to influence people with their words. Increasing charisma has many benefits. One of the most helpful benefits is that it opens more dialogue choices. Why fight when you can talk your way out of battle? We think this is a point.
It's a no-brainer for me. It's no point, because it's just telling you what charisma is. What else do you think when you hear about charisma? What else do you think?
Does charisma...
Any game.
Does charisma open more dialogue choices? Yes. Does having a high charisma skill mean that you get options in conversation that you wouldn't normally?
Yes.
It's worthy of the point then, because that detail matters. Like, sure, I can figure out for myself that charisma will make me do better in a conversation. I'll pass a check that I wouldn't otherwise. But I don't immediately associate charisma with new options opening up that weren't previously there. That's why it's worth the point.
Alright, fine.
Like, don't get me wrong, it's not like some genius thing, but this is for scrubs like me who have no idea what to do in the classics. Not people who grew up with these games.
Bad company scrubs.
I was not even 2 when this came out. I wouldn't have been able to work any of this stuff out, would I?
Yeah, it's true. It'd be really fun watching a 2-year-old try to play Fallout, though.
Oh, he just wouldn't.
It's from a distance.
Yeah. Alright. Come on, Caedo, on to the penultimate point.
Yeah, 2. Play different roles. The classic Fallout games give the player plenty of choices throughout the games. They could either become a savior to the people outside the vaults, or make their lives worse. Since the games emphasize on the importance of role-playing, there is no single way to complete the game. Don't worry about making the best choices as you're playing. The classic Fallout games have massive replay value, which means you can replay the game several times to experience different dialogue options and endings.
There is no single way to complete the game.
Yeah, it's worded kind of weird.
Yeah, that's holding me up a bit. Because I get there being different endings, but Fallout 1, don't you always just have to save the vault and then deal with the master?
Yeah, it's in
Fallout
1
2,
is a lot
you just
more...
deal with Frank Corrigan at the end, right?
Yeah, it's more like Fallout 1 is a lot more linear. Like, you're still arriving at the same conclusion a lot of the time. And, like, you can affect different settlements different ways. Like, that's always been a thing.
Okay.
Up until Fallout 4, obviously. Yeah, with the master, it's there's a couple of ways. And with... I have no idea how you would speech your way out of a confrontation with the lieutenant. I have no idea how you would do that, because he just beats the snot out of you, and you have to like either sneak out or fight him, and it's a rough fight.
I don't think this is worthy of a point.
No,
because the games do complete in the same basic way. It's not like you're going down a completely different path every time. You're just doing different things to get to the same areas and locations.
And that's the no single way thing. That's kind of like restricting that point.
Yeah, like the final thing they say about experience different dialogue options and endings, that I can kind of get behind. But you're not actually playing the game and doing a different ending. You're just getting a different result in the end credits, essentially.
Yeah.
So I don't think that's worthy.
I don't know. People can is conflate the right word? The end slides with different endings, because
if there was someone else judging this, there might be a point awarded. But I don't like oh look, I got a person telling me things were different after I finished playing the game as like an actual different like gameplay conclusion or different way to complete the game. Like, sure, technically it's a different ending, but you haven't done something so vastly different that the game didn't have the same basic points you were hitting. Like, you still leave the vault, fix the water purifier, defeat the master. You're still doing all that stuff, just you get a slightly different result.
Yeah.
Like, it's not good enough for me. I need to... If you could side with the master, then I'd be like, yeah.
Oh, you can, but it's a game over.
Yeah, that's the thing. It's not actually completing the game, it's failing.
You get dipped, and it's great.
Yeah. Alright. They're currently at 14, I will say. So, we're on to number 1 now. The final point is get used to saving often. If you're used to Bethesda's modern Fallout titles, you've come to rely on the autosave feature. The classic games don't autosave. If you want to save your game, you'll have to do so manually within the menu or with a keyboard shortcut. Saving the game often will save you some frustration in the future. Your character won't win every battle or say all the right things. There are a few things worse than having to replay the last 6 hours of your game because you forgot to save. I feel like this is the point you always give to people when they ask for advice on the classic games. Just like, save often.
This is the most common advice.
Yeah, and the fact that they do point out that the modern games have autosave and the classics don't, I think makes this a particularly good one as well. Because it's explaining more than just saving is good. So, yeah, I'm giving it a point. 15 out of 25 is the score for this article. That's like more than half.
Yeah, it is.
That's... You know what? It's not great. It's not a great article, and it's not like I'd be holding this up and going, whoa, how amazing. But I think that someone who didn't know anything about the classics really, had maybe only tried them once or was just thinking about getting into them, if they read this article, they would be better off than if they hadn't. Which is a low bar, but it's a bar that has been passed.
Yeah.
So, well done, The Gamer. This was the best of your articles we've read so far. I think we can agree on that.
Yeah, I'll agree with that. You know what's disappointing?
What?
They put Harold as like the first image you see.
First image.
They don't mention.
We hear nothing
They don't
about
mention him at all.
Nope.
Not at all. Our lovable
Not
man
brought up
Harold.
even once.
Nothing.
Oh, poor Harold.
Poor guy.
Well, I assume he's just an enemy from this article. Better shoot him.
No! When will he get his standalone game? I want it.
Oh. You already got to play as him though, right?
No.
I thought he was a unlockable playable character in Brotherhood of Steel.
No. That's Kane.
Oh. Is he the ghoul that looks like Harold?
Not really. There is Harold in Brotherhood of Steel, but you might be thinking of he is a recruit in Fallout Tactics.
Oh, that might be it then.
Yeah, and he's got a special perk that only he has.
There we go. See, you do get to play as him then in a Fallout game.
Kind of.
Yeah.
It's somewhat useless though, still.
Yeah. Perfect.
I want a Harold's
All right.
Adventures. There's a reason why he survived this long. I don't want to be useless.
Oh. Okay, I feel like he survived that long just by not getting into fights mostly. It's the main way to do it.
Yeah.
Just be immortal and don't fight anyone. Alright, well, that was our Fallout topic. Let us know in the comments what you thought of that list. Was I too generous, like Caedo clearly thinks I was? Or was I maybe too harsh? Was every point a genius one of marvelous perfection?
Yeah.
Let us know.
Yeah, we need some feedback on this one. Write a comment that has all 25 of these and whether you're like,
God.
this one deserves a point or this one doesn't, and tell us why. Make the longest possible comment that we'll have to read off as the comment of the cast.
Genuinely, if anyone does go over all 25 points, I might read through it super quickly at the
I would.
next one. I'm down for that.
Yeah,
You have been challenged, listeners.
that's right.
I'll wait your response.
Yeah. And beyond that, you should also tell us what you've been playing and or watching and enjoying.
Hey!
And
well,
creating.
Oh, I'm not gonna tell people what I've been creating,
Okay.
but in the next episode of the PIPCAST, I will be talking about my new series, which is going out Mondays and Wednesdays. But it's not out yet, so I'm not going to tell people. But hey, if you're listening to this, but in like 26 hours, I'll have a new series coming out on the channel. That's all the teaser you get. What I've been playing outside of the content I've been making, though, is a pair of JRPGs. I've been playing Final Fantasy IV and Octopath Traveler.
Oh.
Final Fantasy IV is my PC JRPG, Octopath Traveler is my console JRPG.
Ah, double dipping.
Yep, I may be a big fan of these games. Octopath Traveler I recently passed 50 hours in. And I'm now at the point where every time I do something, I unlock like an ultra rare achievement, which like less than 5% of the player base have got.
Ooh.
Because it's very clearly a game where people like go through a couple of story missions with all the different characters, and then it gets into the point where you have to like grind up the levels and just go through tons of combat and really power level your characters, and that's where everyone just stops playing.
Ah, yeah.
But I've been pushing through that, and now
The
every
Shadow
achievement I
Wars.
get, every achievement is just like, bling, and a little diamond pops up and it just goes shh, and there's fancy sound effects because so few people have got it. And I'm just like, yeah, I did stick with this game for multiple days worth of real life time. So that's been fun. But I feel like I'll complete the game this year, which doesn't sound very impressive, but I've been playing it for, I think, a year now already. Because I just dip into it every once in a while.
Mm-hmm.
And Final Fantasy IV is also starting to drag on a little bit, honestly. It's got some really cool moments. You get Sid as a actual playable character in it, which is really cool. It's nice
like
to have Sid
the
as
first of the games, right? That lets you do that?
yeah. The first time you get him as a playable character. He's also like this short little engineer with goggles who likes to hit things with hammers. So I sent an image of him to our friend Crazy Eyed Eddie because I had instant thoughts to his D&D character. It's just like this short little dwarf engineer style
Very
thing.
similar. Yeah.
Yep, and Eddie approved. I'm actually going to see. What did he say? He said a very Eddie thing. He sent a Borat gif, very nice.
Oh, yeah. Nice.
Perfect. But yeah, that was a fun thing. I'm getting through Final Fantasy IV. I am at the stage with it now that, although I do quite like the story and all of the stuff, there's so much of characters hopping in and out and your party's constantly changing, but I'm kind of like, okay, let's just wrap it up now, can we? It's gone on a bit much. But there's two other games I've been enjoying a lot. One is Outriders, which I actually mentioned to Caedo the other day, because both of us had, like, bad memories of it around launch, and it turns out that it got, like, slated for being super buggy and kind of broken. But I got into it very recently, and while there still are some bugs, it's a lot of fun. It's like a third-person sci-fi shooter that I actually enjoy, despite being third-person, which is crazy. That, like, never happens with me.
Mm-hmm.
But yeah, I've been having a ton of fun with that. I enjoy the characters. I don't know if I enjoy the humour, or if I'm finding something funny that I shouldn't be finding funny. Characters constantly get shot in the head, and it's hilarious.
Okay.
I don't know if it's supposed to be, but constantly characters will, like, either do something super jerky or super nice, and the response is always they get shot in the head. And I laugh every time.
That's funny.
It's like someone betrays, like, some soldiers and throws a grenade and kills them all, and they're just like, it's the way of the... and their head gets shot off. Another person is like, don't worry, I'll save you, and the person they're saving instantly shoots them. It's just... it's funny. There's nothing wrong with me. It's super funny. But that's been quite a lot of fun. I'm actually going to talk about that in a future video, because it deserves proper talking about. And another game that will be in that video is Rebel Galaxy, which I mentioned earlier, like, about tutorials. I think I did that in the podcast. God, I can't remember if it was pre-podcast talk, but Rebel Galaxy is a very, very fun space game where you control a spaceship and you're basically like a space pirate or space mercenary, just accepting jobs, upgrading your ship, doing some mining, like killing other space pirates. It's very simple and straightforward, but it gets straight in and is just like, hey, here's your spaceship, gotta undo all of this stuff, here's some rockin' music you can listen to, isn't this cool? And I went, yes, this is cool, more please. That's it.
Oh, nice.
What you been doing, Caedo?
What have I been doing? Oh, man. Lots of nothing. Exercises.
Well, that's
quick. Doing my shoulder exercises and stuff like that. Gearing up to maybe, like, you know, go for a drive at some point and see if my shoulder starts being dumb. And then if it's not, then I could possibly this summer go up to Washington for a bit, and that would be cool. Been on the back burner as a plan after my shoulder got worse. So, like, if I get to the point to where I can actually go there and, you know, have a good time, not be in pain, that is my goal. It's a very good goal. So it's easy to stick to these exercises because of that. Besides real life stuff, I've been working on a Death Stranding director's cut chips, collectible memory chips guide. And I'm about 50% done with the edit, I think.
Oh. I mean, you shared an image on Discord or Twitter earlier. I feel like you were a good 2/3 of the way through.
I was chugging along because I had a lot more like voiceover to like chop up and put the footage. Like I have all the footage. Like, it's just a matter of like finishing up the commentary and getting it all done. But I'm doing it in small chunks because it's 56 items, and I have other things I enjoy doing more than putting this together. So I've been getting distracted with things like Monster Hunter Rise with Kite. I did a tiny bit of that just to get that muscle memory back. It took like a couple of hunts, and then I was good. Because Sunbreak is happening next month, I think, which is the big new area DLC. for Monster Hunter Rise. So we're excited for that. Several of our friends are excited for that, so we're probably gonna all play it together when it's out.
Nice.
And yeah, I've been playing more Kenshi because Kenshi's fun, and Divinity Original Sin 2 with Dakoba when he's got time. So that is pretty much it. A lot of isometric games that I've been playing.
It's almost like you grew up on the classic Fallouts or something.
Weird. And then like evolutions of that are even more fun.
Yeah.
Yeah. But that's what I've been doing. Also, there was something I watched. I don't remember what it was.
Oh, I mean, while you're thinking about it, I watched the latest season of Love, Death and Robots. It was very good.
You enjoyed it?
It was another short one, which disappoints me a little bit. Season 2 and 3 are both like fewer than 10 episodes, and season 1 was like just shy of 20, I think. So it's a little disappointing there's not more, but all of them are interesting. You get to see different art styles, different animation techniques and stuff. It's just genuinely quite an interesting little sci-fi romp. Lots of short stories that hit hard. Thumbs up.
Oh, cool. Good. Well, that's another thing to check out. I mean, we already geeked out about it like last episode, but there's more encouragement for people with Netflix to watch it. If you have any nerdy watching or playing suggestions, leave them in the comments below. This has been the PIPCAST 3000 episode 86, I think. Catch us next episode in 2 weeks.
Maybe catch us in 2 weeks, because that is actually the day of the showcase. So we still have to work out what we're doing there.
Yes, we do. Oh, you're right.
Oh dear. Well, come back in 2 weeks to find out what's gone on, because we won't know until then.
Yep, we don't plan. Take care, everyone.